two of the three most likely players to win, along with Mahomes, and how you feel about Jalen Hurts, but really like two of the three most likely players to win. It's Mahomes and these guys. And because they all lost, I can't believe you can get double digits on whichever one you like. I mean, the Bills are 8.5 against the Raiders. Where's 11-1 going next week on Josh Allen? Like, they have to lose outright probably for that price to get a lot worse. So it's kind of whoever you prefer of the two, or if you want to bet both, you could bet both. I like Burrow a little bit more. I'm just a little weirded out by what's happening in Buffalo right now, like what's going on with Stephon Diggs and the relationship between him and Allen, and the potential that both of their coordinators are now kind of inept, Dorsey and McDermott running the defense. Like, it's a little panicky for me. Like, it is only 1 week, but even going into the year, I was kind of concerned about that. So I picked Burrow as kind of the buy low of the two candidates. But Allen, to be fair, Allen is much more likely to win his game this week, and Burrow is a lesser favorite. So I think you could talk yourself into either one. But Nick, I was just surprised, honestly, that there was any reaction at all to what happened in week one, no matter how jarring the final scores or the performances or Burrow's stat line, whatever. Like, that can be made up in 16 more games. And I was even a little shocked that the prices moved the way they did.
Feels like it could be made up like on this Sunday, potentially, depending on week number 2, depending on how things go. I think you and I are both operating under the potential, right? And I'm sure listeners and viewers are also, that the best team in the National Football League, at least right now, might be the San Francisco 49ers.
Sure.
And their quarterback, Brock Purdy, was amazing in week number 1, slicing
Absolutely.
and dicing the Steelers defense, had the great soundbite after the game, kind of calling out Patrick Peterson, who had called him out before the game. And the Niners might be a juggernaut, right? And maybe they will be, maybe they won't be. I guess the point is just, at this point right now, they look like probably the most complete and best team in football. Their quarterback, Brock Purdy, is at 30-1. What about Brock Purdy, Ken, for NFL MVP?
Sure. I mean, of all the candidates we're going to talk about, he checks some of the initial boxes that you would want. He plays for a team that's likely to win a lot of regular season games. That's step one. The step two part of it is he really likely to accumulate a really formidable statistical resume? And this is where I think it's just a gray area, right? The answer to this question could be yes, because he's a young player who's obviously getting better. And, if at the end of the year he had 30 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, should we be completely stunned by that? No, because we shouldn't really calibrate any expectations for him yet. He's a younger player. Just with all the talent on the team, the thing that gets them to a lot of regular season wins, I would just be a little skeptical that in any kind of what I would call a tiebreaker situation. So let's say the Niners win 12 or 13 games this year, which is, I think, a reasonable projection given how they played in week one. I have under on them, but I mean, they could win 11 games and I win that bet. Just like they're going to win a lot of games. Okay, if they win about that many number of games, they contend for the number 1 seed in the NFC. And any team in the AFC that has a big stat quarterback does the same thing, that quarterback's always going to win against Brock Purdy based on how you would likely project both of their statistics. So you can get a lot of the way there with Purdy. I think what I would want to see, at least before I bet, you could be well, the number will be gone by then. Yeah, that's true. I'm going to wait on him, because what I would want to see is a really consistent astronomical statistical month. And then I'll be a believer at that point. And I'm willing to let the number get away from me on him, because I don't believe that type of month is likely. I think it's possible. I just think it's not likely.
If the Cowboys defense is actually going to be #doomsday, and they're going to harken back to the doomsday defense of the 60s and the 70s in Dallas, and they wreck the Jets on Sunday, and that this is one of special units, right? One that
Sure.
we're going to talk about for the 2000 Ravens, the Legion of Boom, the 85 Bears. Obviously you need a Super Bowl to kind of cement your legendary status there.
Sure.
Micah Parsons is the favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year. We never see defensive player. Lawrence Taylor did it once. Parsons is 150-1. Is there any thought at all given to that for him specifically after what we saw in week one in this market?
I mean, I would just argue no, because of how people tend to vote for this award. I think if people gave defensive players more of a chance to win and how they vote, then you'd maybe be onto something. You could do something kind of wacky. This is sort of do you want to bet a reliever to win Cy Young, or you get these kind of weird positional things that happen. And a lot of times it's just, okay, it sounds awesome. It sounds fun. The price is massive. So your eyebrows are immediately going, 150-1. I just think he wins Defensive Player of the Year every time if that happens, and never wins MVP. Just a minute here or two on what happened with NL Cy Young last night. Just the show to be an authentic representation of what you and I actually think about all day and like talking about, nothing phony. I was like very anxious about what we would see last night with both Zach Gallen and, more importantly, Blake Snell, who's was the favorite in the market entering yesterday to win NL Cy Young. They both pitched yesterday. So early in the night, it was Gallen's turn, and he was terrible. And I mean, really, really bad. And I think it is extremely unlikely now that he will win the award. He was way behind in the polling. He was in third, got some first place votes, like close enough that he could have done something, maybe late. And now he has a bad start. You assume poll plus that equals he's probably kind of fallen out of it a little bit. And then go to later. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty interesting. You go to later in the night. All right, now it's really like judgment day. Blake Snell, who's the favorite in the market to win NL Cy Young, and he was a pretty big favorite, minus 150, minus 170 entering the game last night, faces the Dodgers. Formidable lineup at LA. He was a dog in the game, and he's the favorite to win NL Cy Young. And I was really hoping that he would have a negative performance, which would lead me to make a lot of bets, because I think it's very close between him and Justin Steele right now. And if he performed poorly last night, I was going to talk about a pitcher shoving when he pitches really well. I was going to shove bets on Justin Steele if Snell gets roughed up last night. And instead, the opposite happens. Snell pitches great. It's one of his best starts of the season. Only 2 base runners allowed in 6 innings. I remember Snell's whole thing is he allows a lot of base runners, and he didn't do that last night. So that improves his stats a lot. And now we're really kind of up against it in terms of like, we're going to know really soon who the guy is, I think. And I still think it's way up in the air, but Snell has applied sort of like holding serve. Snell has held serve. And now a tremendous amount of pressure is applied to Justin Steele, who will face the Diamondbacks in Arizona tomorrow night. And I think the right way to think about this is if Steele pitches very poorly, it might be done. Might be done. And the two of them are very close. They each have like a max of 2 starts left. We don't know how each team is going to handle the end of the year. The Cubs want to make the playoffs. The Padres have no such hopes. So it's really more about just, do we want to get Blake Snell this award? And so Steele's start, I said Blake Snell's start last night up to that point, most important start by any player in an award market in Cy Young. And now that just kick the can down the road, that goes to Friday with Justin Steele. If he's bad, probably can't do anything. Snell's already a huge favorite. He probably just should be a big favorite. If Steele's really good and he holds serve back, now we might really be cooking. I mean, the market moved so hard on Blake Snell last night, and it's like the betting market is unaware that polling exists. Justin Steele was ahead going into yesterday's game. Like that's not my opinion. Read the poll. He's ahead. I don't care. He's ahead. Snell pitches really well. Okay, what happens if Steele pitches really well? He's like 3-1 right now. All it happens is now you got another betting event to live sweat potentially bet. We didn't get anything last night. Snell pitched well. Nothing to do. What happens if Steele pitches really well? I think he wins. And then we go to each guy's next start and we keep betting. So this is going to get really, really interesting really fast, because it's a razor thin margin right now. And so that was watching that last night, eagerly awaiting Justin Steele's start tomorrow, whatever that brings.
It feels like maybe like baseball and like WNBA have gotten together and said, how can we screw with people here? Let's give the awards to some wacky candidates here. Spencer Strider wins NL Cy Young.
We'll see if Alyssa Thomas wins the WNBA. And for people who don't follow this, Breanna Stewart was awarded the AP Most Valuable AP Player of the Year in the WNBA. So think about how there's like the Wooden Award for college basketball, but there's also like the National Player of the Year. There's all this stuff. So Breanna Stewart won already the AP Player of the Year. Asia Wilson, who won the MVP last year, came in second. And yet, despite the fact that has already happened, a third player, Alyssa Thomas of the Sun, is receiving every single publicly made MVP vote. And the analysis of the people who have voted is essentially along the lines of, well, I know Stewart scores more and Wilson scores more, and they're both better, and they both play for better teams, and they both had better seasons, but that's not all this is about. And then they vote for Alyssa Thomas. That's what's happened 7 times already. And I think in that one where we could really be headed somewhere weird, unless a lot of really anonymous votes come out and they're for the other 2 players. But awards are funny, man. They're funny. People, when awards are close, NL Cy Young's close, WNBA MVP is close. When awards are close, people do squirrely things. They do weird things, and they do stuff you don't expect because they have a really hard time parsing through small differences between players.
Do you know what? I think that sentence needed, WNBA sentence, when you said, yeah, I know that Breanna Stewart and what was the second player, Asia Wilson?
Asia Wilson, yeah.
That Breanna Stewart and Asia Wilson, I know that they scored more points, and I know that they have more rebounds. I know they played for better teams, but you know what we're actually going to do?
Yeah, WNBA is about to have their Russell Westbrook MVP moment. I think they're about to have it.
God bless him. God bless him.